Can you hear me, Coach?
Yep, there we go.
All right,
Got it.
cool. My bad. I'm rusty, man. Anyway,
It's all good.
what is going on, party people? We are on live. All right, we forgive me, people. It's been a long time coming, man. I have been on hiatus, so from doing this, but I definitely wanted to start back this process, bringing on coaches. We got coaches all this week. We definitely have and on Friday, we got IMG's director of baseball coming on Friday. So we are jam-packed this week. All right. So, but I'm starting off, this is kind of personal to me a little bit over here, man. This is a little personal thing over here. This is, I can't say it's my alma mater because I didn't attend Maryland, but this was the school that I was going to attend way back in the day. And so this is, I'm excited to have, my boy Coach Swope here from University of Maryland, and he's going to tell you all about the school. But I reached out to him. He agreed to come on, and we're going to hit hard and talk about the recruiting. We're going to talk about this virus. We're going to talk about obviously the University of Maryland, and we're going to go dive deep into this. And of course, parents, you know the routine. Come on here, ask your questions, and should have a fun show. So without further ado, I want to introduce Coach Matthew Swope, all right, from University of Maryland. So, Coach Swope, if you could, man, give a little background, where you from, your playing career, and then your coaching career to where you are now.
Well, first of all, I wish we would have had you. So, we'll gladly take you as an honorary alumni. Anytime you come down, we'll introduce you as a dirty Terp. So we'll still honor you. So just a little bit about my background. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, about 5 minutes outside D.C. in Maryland. I'm about as born as bred as you could get. I'm wearing my state flag and shirt today to represent the DMV. And I grew up about 5 minutes from actually University of Maryland. I went to DeMatha High School, which is actually on Route 1 as well, right by University of Maryland. So a lot of good baseball, football, basketballs come out of this area, and we take a lot of pride in that. Both of my parents actually went to University of Maryland and got married on the campus. So wow. I was about as born and bred a Maryland Terp as you can get. So it was an honor for me to, after DeMatha, to accept a baseball scholarship and come here to play baseball. And obviously got a lot of pride and passion for the area. I came back to work here about 8 years ago. I did get drafted by the Montreal Expos. For those that don't know, D would know, but not a lot of people know who the Expos are. So right. I had to tell them I went through the Expos transition to the Washington Nationals, and they're like, who are the Expos? And I said, well, we're getting old when the kids don't know who the Expos are anymore.
Yes. I did see you get drafted. I didn't know about who, but
yeah, I went through that process a little bit, ended up, kind of getting 2 shoulder surgeries by Dr. Andrews, even though I was an outfielder, kind of derailed my career. But, it led me back to be able to coach at some point and give back to the youth. And, if we can't play, we're going to give back somehow. So that's kind of a little bit of my background. This is my 8th year back with the staff, and, we got things rolling. We've come a long way in Maryland baseball. When I played here, we only had 4 scholarships in baseball, competing versus the ACC that all had 11.7. So, coming all the way back and fully funded. And we've been 1 game away from Omaha, the College World Series, twice since I've been here. And
nice.
Had the number 7 recruiting class this year in the country. So nice. We're rolling right now. So we're just excited to be where we're at right now. And it's a great time to be a Terp.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know. I'm glad you're telling me all of this, man. So one game away from the College World Series. That's awesome. I'm on the talk and recruiting class. So I kind of know the landscape. I'm gonna get deep into it, but just so I know, where are you guys recruiting at? Where's some of the, I know right in that DMV area is a hotbed of talent, but where you guys recruiting?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, like our recruiting landscape is and footprint is pretty much from about Maryland all the way up to New York. We'll go up to Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, stuff like that. Mostly Northeast. Obviously, we just want great players. So, we have a kid coming in from Georgia in 21. We've had kids come from California. We've had kids from Illinois, Texas. So it's not just the Northeast, but I would say there's so many good players within driving distance here. We don't have to go down south a lot and fight versus for example, Tennessee, like Tennessee, Vanderbilt, down south, North Carolina, Clemson, the Floridas. Like I don't have to deal with that in the Northeast, and the players are just as good. So, we try to keep that recruiting footprint within those 3 or 4 hours, and we've had a lot of success getting good players doing that.
No, that's awesome. So was Coach Bradley your coach over there, or was he going by then?
No, Coach Bradley. Yeah, I had Coach Bradley for 2 years, and then they let him go and moved on from there. So yeah, I had Coach Bradley, and I still actually do some camps and stuff for his son. His son was actually a local high school coach and does Bradley baseball stuff for youth stuff
Nice.
around here. So
Nice.
yeah, I had him for a few years. He was a big leaguer, and had a pretty good MLB run, and he just wasn't really equipped at the time to be successful. And there was only 9 teams in the ACC back then, and it was loaded. So you had 9 teams, and 7 of them were making the NCAA tournament. So if you're not fully funded and being equipped to be successful in baseball, it was not good at times. So
how was it that everybody else had 11.7 and Maryland only had 4? How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of schools still at Division I baseball that you don't have to fully fund the sport. So the 11.7 is the max that you can have, but you don't have to fully fund it. A school can say, hey, here's 7 of the 11.7, and you just have to deal with it. So that's where budgets come into play and funding and all that different type of stuff. So definitely in a disadvantage end, but like I said, we've come a long way, changing the culture, the perception, the winning, spitting out some major league guys now and a little higher profile. And that's the kind of stuff it takes to build a program.
What's the, I'm sorry. I'm it's the first time I'm even speaking to anybody who, Maryland wise, that's especially in my age group. So does Haverbush ever come back over there? Kevin Haverbush?
I mean,
I played with him, or was he gone by the time you got over there?
Yeah, he was right before me, but I know Kevin real well. He runs a baseball academy in New York. So he's back in New York now, and we've exchanged some stuff on some players. I mean, I've heard all the crazy stories. I heard he was a super passionate, aggressive guy. He probably should have been in the major leagues for talent wise. It was probably more of a mental thing with him that was his hurdle. But yeah, I still keep in touch with Kevin. He's in New York right now and still involved with baseball. So yeah, I talk to Kevin. So yeah.
Yeah, tell him I said hello, man. We ain't played against each other since A-ball, but he was a Maryland guy, New York guy. We got along well, man. But
for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to get into these questions. So parents, before I'm going to have my set of questions, but this is an open forum. I know there should be a good amount of questions with everything being up in the air with the virus and everything. So that's why I wanted to bring on these coaches, and I definitely appreciate Coach, Swope taking out the time to, answer these questions. So please, parents, ask all the questions, and we kind of go from there. And let me acknowledge my people that are on. We got Sega, Louisiana, what's up? Deanne, Mississippi, what's going on? Pierre, Philly, what's going on? Jacob, Texas, what's good? We got Big Chris, Missouri in the house, what up? Mark, what up? Texas in the house. Mr. Porches, New York in the house, what up? Mark, what's up, baby? We in your backyard. Germantown, Maryland, what's up? Eric, Bailey, what up? New York in the house. Joe, what's up, baby? Ashley, how you doing? What's going on? G-Dub, what's up? Shonda, what's good? Mississippi in the house. Greeny, what up, baby? All right, so anyway, we wanted to get into I want to get into this recruiting aspect right now, man. I know it's like with the virus going on. How are you guys handling the recruiting and the incoming? You say you had the set number 7 last year, or this year coming in? Which one?
Number 7 last year, but I mean, even this year with 20, we got 2 kids that could be picked in the first round of the draft. Both right-handed pitchers from New York. They're the top 2 players in New York, the state of New York. So they're both projected to be, first or second rounders. So we got it's a smaller class in 20, but sometimes the rankings dictate that, but definitely a super talented class in 20 as well. So, where we're at with the recruiting right now, I just personally, I can say I hate how early it is. I'm done. I've been done 21. We're working on 22 and 23, and it's not something I enjoy doing early. I think kids should get their feet wet a little bit, enjoy the process, get established in high school first. But it's just kind of the lay of the land right now. So I think that's also why there's so much parity, is because a lot of the Power 5 schools are, almost done their 23 class, and the kids haven't even played a freshman year of baseball yet, and they're definitely not playing this year. So, I'm not a proponent of it, how early it is, and I hopefully the rules will change a little bit So kids get a little bit of chance to mature and get their feet wet. But I will say, we try to do things a little bit differently. We keep our classes small. You won't see us having 15 to 20 guys a class. We spend a lot of time on the character and the development piece. So if we're going to invest in a kid, that it's a good relationship for both. We're not just checking out rankings. We're not just basing decisions off other people. We're trying to do our homework. We also try to make sure all of our coaches are talking to the recruits. So instead of me just always talking to the hitters or a pitching coach talking to the pitchers, we have all three of us, and the paid staff talking to him, because we're really trying to delve into that character and see if he's a good fit for us. I mean, to me, I think it always comes back down to competition, and you were a 2 or 3 sport guy. So, for me, if you're not competitive by nature, you can't play at a high level, and that's just the way it is. So, we try to figure that out in the recruiting process. It doesn't mean a kid's got to scream and yell, but you got to try to find that competitive gene. Does he have that ability, to just kind of ramp it up? And, that's being seen a lot right now with the Last Dance and Michael Jordan. People are just shocked at how much of a savage he was and how competitive he was. And I say, you know what, man, it takes what it takes. I mean, that's what high level athletes do. They have the ability to just turn that on and be competitive. So, that's what we're looking for most in our recruits. We even in our recruiting, we tend to give the recruits homework. And what I mean by that is we'll send clips. We'll talk to their coach and make that more about them. So I want to hear what they're talking about. I want to hear what, makes them tick and makes them who they are. Is it music? Is it movies? Is it other sports? What are you passionate about? I'm not going to sell Maryland. I'll sell Maryland my first recruiting call, and that's it. Because, at the end of the day, I'll give you the rundown on the school, but we need to build that trust and that relationship and see if this is something that's going to work for the future.
That's good stuff, man. So in this time, I want you to kind of, I'm speaking selfishly right now. All right. Yeah. So I know because you guys are a Power 5 school and you got to go younger. Mm-hmm. I want you to put your hat on small D1s to D2s. Like where are they at right now? You know what I'm saying? Where the recruiting class, do they just gotta just trust their gut the one time they seen the kid, or trust, where are they doing with the class? Because you guys already 2022s, you know what I'm saying, classes. So you already done before everything pretty much hit the fan, right, with the virus, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say for everyone involved, like kids these days and parents, like, the internet's a blessing and a curse, right? Like before the internet, the experts were the experts, right? Now everybody's the expert because they can read something online or they see a ranking, right? What I would just tell parents is, regardless of where their kid's at, he may be a late bloomer. If I was getting recruited right now as a freshman, there's zero chance I would have been signed up for Maryland. So, just don't buy into the fact that just because you're not signed by a certain time, you're not good enough to play at this school. You know what I mean? I would just say you have to be realistic throughout the process. And what I mean by that is I encourage kids all the time. When you start your freshman year, you should have a list. What are 3 to 5 schools that are realistic right now for me? From a lower D1 to a D2 to your dream school, okay? And let that be something that's organic as time passes. Also, have 3 to 5 things that you really want out of your college experience. Do you want to go in a city? Do you want to go in a small school? Do you have those things? That way you have your initial list that's important to you, and it's not dictated by the names of the school, okay? That's what happens so many times. Oh, this person's on me, but they don't really know what they want. You know what I mean? So those are things that, regardless if you're being a recruiter right now, that you can take control of. I would say for those guys that, haven't been recruited yet or think they're getting missed on, no, it depends where you're at. Lower D1, some guys are still working on 2020. They're still trying to get guys in. So it doesn't matter if you're D1 or not. There's always going to be turnover with the draft and the high school draft. That's something that just baseball is so unique and they have to deal with. So, I wouldn't buy into the panic. Don't panic or just take something because you see what's happening in the trends of baseball. Just keep grinding it out. Do its best. I think another piece of advice that I give to all the recruits is, in those 3 to 5 schools, attend that camp. So if you're realistically wanting to go there and be seen, attend one of their camps. it's not just a moneymaker. You will get directly in front of that school, and then you'll get some honest feedback. It's not just coming from your parents or a high school or summer coach. You're getting actual feedback from that school. So I think it's important also for the kids to see the campus and get the lay of the land a little bit. And that's one way they can do it, is to attend camp.
I love it, man. So what's like even your school right now? So what's let me give a few little shout outs coming in real fast. Hold on 1 second, Coach. So we got Greg, what's up, New York in the house? What up? Mark says, talk to me about local recruiting in the state of Maryland. What should high school kids be doing right now to get a look by Maryland? I'm in Germantown at Northwest High School.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that, being a Maryland coach, obviously we're always trying to keep the best players in state. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We're trying to start there and then branch out from there. So right now with the coronavirus, what we're doing with our guys is, listen, if they tell me they have a 25-pound dumbbell in the basement and one Jaeger band, then we give them a workout based off that. You know what I mean? So right now we're all at the whim of this virus. And, I'm lifting in the basement. Some people can go outside. Some people can't. So we're trying to tailor what we can actually do to what the player has. So if you're a high school athlete at home right now and all you got is a pull-up bar or you got a band, then that's what you got to roll with. You got to get creative. And that's part of this, what's happening right now. You just can't say, well, I don't have the access to a gym, or I can't go do this. Go get a wiffle ball bat. Go get something and make yourself better. I mean, that's just the way it's got to be right now. And if you really want it and want to get better, that's the type of stuff that you got to compromise with and go do. You can't just make excuses for what you don't have. So that's what we've been doing with our guys. They're all different. They all have different stuff. They tell me what they have, so we give them specific workouts for what they have. That's just the way it is right now. So I think that's something that you could do. As far as being seen by Maryland or whatever, we know about a lot of good players in state, but again, attend camps. We have 5 to 6 to 7 camps a year that if somehow you think you're being misrecruited or whatever, not only will it benefit you to come to camp to be seen, you're going to learn something. We don't do these camps just to be a moneymaker. This is a representation of us as coaches, our families. So we put everything we got into camp as well. We try to make it different. We're, implementing some strength and conditioning stuff, a tour of the campus. We're showing what we do with our guys. It's not just, hey, run a 60, go do this and go do that. That's not how we do things. We want guys, regardless if they're getting recruited, to have a good sense and good taste of Maryland when they leave. So, besides just the normal stuff of getting on a showcase team or maybe somewhere where you can be exposed, if you don't have the money for a showcase team, I would recommend trying to get to a camp or maybe a local contact or someone that you have that knows us, and try to do whatever you can to be seen.
Love it, man. Good information, man. Jeff Sullivan says that 2019 outfield class, mainly Troy Scheffler, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best I've ever seen, to be honest with you. 2 of the 3 kids were drafted. All 3 should have been drafted. They all have immense talent. In a couple years, they'll all be drafted as juniors. Potential multiple big leaguers in there. It's literally the best outfield class I've ever seen. So, super blessed that this was the first year that we had all 5 of our high school kids not sign and actually come to school. So that's a big part of it, because we lost 2 outfielders in the 18 draft that hurt us bad out of high school. So super excited. Yeah, I'm thanks for shouting out that class. Troy Scheffler's great. Bobby Zamarzalak's in that class. Tucker Flint, all guys that are just studs and that were making an impact and playing as a freshman. And you're definitely going to be seeing their name the next couple years.
That's what's up. All right. Juan P, what's up, baby? Bill Jersey, was good. Clay, was good. John, was good. Eric, Mississippi in the house. Dennis, what's up? Curtis, baby, Texas in the house. How do you deal with walk-ons? Bill and Jersey asks, how do you deal with walk-ons, good students that want to try out because they want to go to a particular school but not recruited by the school?
Yeah, I mean, it happens often, to be honest. Like, so just so the people know, you have 11.7 scholarships for 27 guys. So that leaves you 8 spots open for either financial aid guys or walk-on. So we've had multiple times, a great example, we had a catcher that wanted to try to walk on, and we had a kid get hurt, and he literally was from Montgomery County, like the guy that asked questions earlier. was not recruited. We didn't really know about him. He was coming to school to Maryland to be an engineer anyway. And we had a couple catchers get hurt, and he made the team, and he played. He had to play in a few games in the spring. So, and he was a freshman. So, I think there's always circumstances that happen at schools. For us personally, we hold walk-on tryouts, and we've taken many guys where, if the kid's talented enough or it's worth it, we'll keep them the whole fall. So it's not just, a one-day tryout. We've taken 3, 4, 5 guys, sometimes pitchers and multiple guys, and we give them a chance the whole fall. So obviously every school is different, so I can't answer for them. But I would say if you're dead set on going to that school and your heart's there for academic reasons, just like Maryland, because Maryland's a top 15 public school in the country now. It's extremely high academic, and it's an awesome school. So, yeah, I mean, if your dream is to go to Maryland and it's more for academics and you want to try out, just do your due diligence, do your homework, and see how their walk-on tryouts are, and contact the coaches, and be just as diligent as if you were getting recruited.
I love it, man. We have Mark asks, can you comment on the state of Mid-Atlantic baseball? I hear all the time the players up north need to be prepared in the South and Texas. Is that true? What have you seen for Mid-Atlantic players? Are we at a disadvantage based on geography?
Man, I got a lot of pride and passion for this area, so I'm going to say no. So, I mean, I can go down the list of big leaguers and people that are from the area. So, no, you're not at a disadvantage, and don't buy into that. Okay, so we all can prepare, and just because it's someone says something about it being warm in Florida and they can be outside a month earlier. Listen, man, if you're working hard, if you're training the way you should be training, and competitive and getting after it, then you're at no disadvantage. And we've seen that time and time again, especially from our area, Mid-Atlantic, and that's football, basketball, and baseball. So we're churning out athletes all the time, and multiple big leaguers on the regular. And I think that's more of buying into a certain type of hype than it is anything else.
I love it, man. That's true. Good question, Mark. Bill says, do you still recruit at public schools, or do you prefer to recruit at the sports academy schools? Seems like public schools are no longer being recruited.
No, that's not at all. I mean, just to be honest with you, my job is to find the best players that are the best fit for Maryland. So that's my job. I mean, I don't care if they're homeschooled. I don't care if they're public school, private school, or an academy. You know what I mean? So I would actually argue sometimes that the academies are somewhat more difficult to deal with. So no, that's not it at all. We're just trying to find the best players, and and that's different every state, right? So where I'm from in Maryland, or the DMV, the WCAC, the DeMathas, the Gonzagas, all those types of schools, St. John's, are known for how good their sports programs are. So, but in Northern Virginia, public school baseball is awesome. So it depends on the state as well. I mean, some states and schools are more private school oriented. Some states are more public school oriented. So that's just kind of depends on the area per se. But again, the answer is we're just trying to find the best players with the best fit.
Love it. So do you have a JV team?
No, we have a club team. So, what we've done in the past for some guys, you talked a little bit earlier about the walk-on process. We've gray shirted guys where, they come in, but we don't have a roster spot for them. They're allowed to work out in the weight room. They're allowed to do a few things. They're just not on the roster. So sometimes you'll find a situation like that where kid's willing to sit out for a year. It's best for him. He needs to, get his feet underneath of him, athletically, academically, and all that. So we're not allowed to have a JV team. It's not like that. It's just nobody has one of those. So it's just something that the NCAA doesn't allow us to have. But again, there's different circumstances for guys maybe wanting to come in gray shirt or red shirt.
Awesome. The LeBron wants to ask, do JUCO players play a role in your program?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, we're big on investing in our guys. And what I mean by that is, if you do your due diligence when you're getting recruited on Perfect Game or PBR, look how many people they have in each class. Look at their turnover rate. It doesn't add up. If they have 15 to 20 people in a recruiting class every year, there's only 35 on a roster. It doesn't add up. So we encourage our guys. We keep our classes small and we invest in our guys. So ideally, I'd like to just keep the high school players coming in, but sometimes we will have to go JUCO to supplement for losing a high school kid in the draft or losing a junior in the draft that we maybe didn't expect. So yes, every Division I program, most colleges will use the JUCO route. It's a very good route. It's the right move for some kids. We don't use it to supplant guys that we had recruiting coming in. I don't think that's right. So I think there's a mixture that could be used there. You just have to be smart about it. But yes, we'll use the JUCO route.
Cool. All right, Bryce, sophomore up there in my part of the world, up there in New York, up there at Walk Hill High School over there, says, what is a big turnoff? Something that makes you not want to recruit someone that, turns you away quickly?
Social media. It's the number one thing. Like I love it in the fact that like I'm competitive. Diehard Redskins, diehard Caps. I'm a local guy. I'm on there all the time for that information. I post. I have my Maryland Made hitting. I have my own stuff. I get it. I can relate to you guys. I love it. But there's no bigger turnoff than to see how you represent yourself and your family and your school with either cuss words or things that just aren't appropriate. Like you can handle your business one way privately, but there's still something about respect for certain things to handle your business that you're putting out there for the world. So I would advise, one of the first things I do when we're recruiting a kid is I follow him on social media, seeing how his personality is, seeing how he handles himself, how his relationship is with his parents, his friends, his girlfriend. So social media is the biggest thing, man. It's a great tool. I love it. Trust me. I love it. But at the same time, there's got to be a line where there's a level of respect that you have for yourself and the content and stuff that you're putting out there.
I love it. Good question. Great answer, man. Kind of gave me goosebumps over here because, gosh, I see so many kids, and even in the draft, we talked about it previously a year or two ago about scouts saying, listen, we're taking kids off the draft board because of their social media postings,
Yep.
So, hope you got your answer over there. All right, Bryce. Russ says, how has moving to the Big Ten changed recruiting, and is there a difference in play? That's a great question. I want to know that.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when we first moved, I'm an ACC guy, born and bred. Len Bias, Joe Smith, Juan Dixon won a national championship when I played at Maryland. So, right. I just my blood and who I am as a Maryland guy was ACC indoctrinated. So, wasn't happy about it at first, and I was a little worried about, hey, will this change the perception because the ACC is a really good perception for baseball conference. And to be honest with you, it hasn't really affected us. I thought it would. It hasn't. My first year in the Big Ten, we were in the championship game, and we still got 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. So we still got 6 teams in from that conference. So, and the ACC got 7 that year. So, it's a great question. It hasn't hurt us. I think what the Big Ten Network does have that's better than almost any conference is the Big Ten Network. They've built that out where it's great, especially in the Northeast where people in New York are getting it, Jersey, Philly, Maryland, Midwest, and they do a great job. They do a great job streaming BTN Plus, so it may not be on the main TV, but a parent can just flip on the computer and watch a baseball game versus us and Northwestern or something like that. So the Big Ten Network has done a lot for us as far as the recruiting goes, because at the end of the day, like if you're from New York, there's still a sense of pride. Like you want your parents to see you. You want your parents to be able to watch you play on a regular basis. And if there's just no access to it, it makes it hard. So it's a great question. I thought it would be an impact, but we've been killing it recruiting. So it hasn't been a huge deal at all.
Yeah, I thought it would. Like I didn't understand the move. I was like, why would you go to the ACC from the ACC to the Big Ten? I didn't understand. But it seems like it's working. So.
Yeah.
But Anthony in Detroit, what up, Anthony? Detroit in the house. He says, due to the fact that there might not be a season for this year, what should juniors be focusing on? Because I got a bunch of questions about that. I'm guessing he's talking about high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of answered the question a little bit earlier. You're just going to have to deal with it. I think we're all in a new landscape here, even as a coach. My days are changed. I'm at home doing homeschool where I should be on senior day and this week for our team. So I think everybody's lives are impacted, and a good part of it is we all have to have some perspective. You have to take things for what they are. It can't be why me. It can't be, oh, why did this happen this year to me and not other years? That's part of life. And the more you can kind of gain perspective a little bit and move forward from that and accept it, the better you're going to be. So to specifically prepare when it comes to recruiting, there's nothing really you can do, dude. It's just things are going to slow down a little bit right now. You will have the opportunity. There will be baseball again. Maybe the recruiting circuit that was going to happen for the summer, maybe now it's in the fall. Maybe there's just a lot of stuff going on in the fall. So, or maybe there's more camps over the winter. There's going to be a number of changes, but the more you could just gain some perspective and not look at it as a negative, but yet what can I do to move forward? I think everybody's going to be better off doing that.
I love that. Great advice. So, based off of that, so you're seniors. Let me ask you this. So, your senior class, they're done eligibility wise. They can't come play for you guys no more. You're done.
So they were granted another year. So
Okay.
everybody.
How are you going to handle that? Are you letting them come back? Is it going to be
Yeah.
influx of kids or what?
Yeah, no, it's tough because, the roster limit right now hasn't changed. So the NCAA is we're trying to figure out something to extend the roster for a year, because it's not really fair that we have this class coming in and even some juniors that were going to get drafted. Now the draft may only be 5 rounds or 10 rounds. So everything has changed. So we like the NCAA to understand the fact that, hey, baseball is different. You're dealing with high school draft eligible kids. You're dealing with junior eligible draft kids. No other sports dealing with the stuff that we're dealing with, and we have to manage all that. So I'm hoping that they extend the rosters a little bit, but it's very difficult for seniors, right? Because if they're not elite seniors, most of them probably weren't going to get a chance to play professional baseball. So, but also a lot of them have graduated. So now we're putting them in a position that, nobody in baseball gets a full scholarship. So the kid may be on 35%, but is he going to come back to school at 35% and then take some grad classes, but he has to pay 30 grand too? So there's a lot of issues with that. And, obviously we welcome all our guys back and we'll help them any way we can, but you're going to see the difference of some guys are just like, hey, I graduated and, I'm ready to move on with my life and my career and get started. And, it just ends up being an unfortunate thing where they couldn't end up playing their senior year and have those memories.
Yeah, I ain't think about all of that. That's why I wanted to ask you these questions, because man. So, what's your gut feeling with let's just say your school? You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna let the guys come back, but what's your gut feeling? How many seniors, and what's your gut feeling that the rosters, and what are you guys going to do personally? I mean, I don't want to get in your business, but I know that's something that you guys have to be thinking about.
Oh yeah. We've had Zoom calls with our guys every week, and something I think as a coach and as a person, we always try to be transparent. You know where you stand with me and where you stand with us as a staff, and that's important when you have high expectations for players. So we just try to be in constant communication. We'll work the roster out where we'll be at 35 and we'll be fine, but it's more about advising the kids like, hey, should you come back? Do you want to come back? Are you going to take out a loan to be able to come back? Do your parents have the money to pay? I mean, all these things are circumstantial and individual to that person. So for us, we're just, trying to see like, hey, are we going to even start school in September? Is that realistic? Is that something that Maryland's going to do? Because we're in a high risk area of a high population between the DMV. It's a high population. So we may be different than the University of Oregon, which is, not the same. So that's just the kind of the way it is. And we've just tried to update our guys the best we can and tell them what to expect. And I think we're all kind of in the same boat where we don't have all the answers, and we're just going to try to be transparent and move forward when we have them.
Okay. I love it. All right. Russ says, is the coach from Maryland? If so, what city? You already answered that, but just, yeah, please.
What city am I from?
Yeah.
I'm from actually New Carrollton, which is a very, very small city, literally 2.5 miles from Washington, D.C. So if you come out of D.C. on the BW Parkway, it's one of the first exits. I still get my hair cut the same place, and born and bred, a lot of pride for PG County and for Maryland and the DMV. And I lived in DC for the last 6 years as well. So I'm kind of just engulfed in all that stuff. And it's a big part of it shaped who I am and why I'm here at Maryland.
So for the people who don't, outside of that DMV area and Northeast kind of knows, but how far is University of Maryland from DC?
Yeah, it's only 6 miles. So University of Maryland is only 6 miles. Literally, you could get on Route 1, which is called Baltimore Avenue, and Route 1 takes you right into DC. So that's a big recruiting thing for us. I mean, not only the most powerful city in the world, but 3 major airports within 30 miles. The ability to just hop in an Uber or get on the train and go see a Wizards game versus the Lakers and go see a Nats game. You can go up to Baltimore. I mean, the opportunities are endless as far as, internships and all that. So I think, but Maryland's in the suburbs, so it's a beautiful campus. So I think we just have the best of everything, big time football, big time basketball. And that's when I'm recruiting. I think it's just such a great experience overall at Maryland, just because we have so much at our disposal.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I chose. But Mark asks, with the rise of the networks like Big Ten Network, do you see the number of baseball scholarships per team increasing beyond 11.5? I think you meant to say 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so, man. I think we're a little bit in the dark ages with this where, we have 3 paid coaches and 35 players, yet baseball players make more money than any professional sports that's out there. So, we're talking about, we had 3 guys make their major league debut last year. It's a realistic thing that we're getting a lot of guys in the big league. So why would we not give more opportunity? I think it'll help urban areas. It'll help diversity. It'll help minorities. I was talking the other day to an African-American kid that, there's less black people playing baseball than ever before. And my favorite players growing up were Frank Thomas, Ricky Henderson, Ken Griffey Jr., all these people that I have, Bo Jackson, I have these jerseys. And we're just not allowing or exposing these players enough to play the game. So I think more scholarships, more opportunity to play is only going to help the game of baseball. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big part for us. We were always pushing for that. We're always pushing for, improving the game or improving athletic departments at a whole. But yeah, I hope so. We've been pushing for it for sure.
I know that one of the things that I loved about Maryland, and I'm personally, I took recruiting trips to a lot of places back in the day, but I don't know if the numbers have gone up, down, or whatever, but I know back in the day it was like 14, 15% black, and it felt like had a large, amount of black people at the University of Maryland. How is that number still about the same? Is it still growing up, or do you know off the top of your head or what?
Not off the top of my head, but we pride ourselves. I think me just personally being from around here is being diverse. We've always had an African-American or Latin presence on our baseball teams too. And that's why we do so well in the Northeast. I mean, and I think that's a big part of the experience for players, right? That's why I work so hard on recruiting. I think Northeast people are very like-minded. You could go to New York where you're from and me, and we probably have a lot of similarities. And that's kind of my recruiting pitch, right? It's like, hey man, like, you're from New York, we're aggressive. We're like-minded. We get after things. Maybe you don't want to go to down south where it's a little slower, or Louisiana where you may not fit in with the culture and all that. And to each their own, right? But that's definitely my recruiting thing, because I'm aggressive, and I'm competitive and I want to win. So, I think that's a huge part of it. It always has been with African Americans and Latin. We'll go into Baltimore, DC, New York City, Philly, and we get those guys, and it's always worked out. And we had one of our most proud moments last year. Lamont Wade was an outfielder, made his major league debut with the Twins, and he's an African-American kid from Baltimore that, came in, was more regarded as a pitcher than he was an outfielder. And here he is in the big leagues 3 years later. So those are the types of stories I take a lot of pride in. And I think the more we can expose the game to those types of things, the better, because man, my childhood growing up with the type of guys I'm describing, even Harold Baines and guys like that shaped a lot of who I am, and watching them grow up, Eddie Murray, all those guys. So it's super important for me for that diversity factor.
Yeah, man. I was big, man. One of the main reasons. So, man, we got a lot. Let me just shout out a lot of more people coming on. Let's see, we got Jimmy, Waco, Texas in the house. Eric Paws, what up, baby? New York in the house. Oscar, what's up, baby? New York in the house. Curtis, what's up? Memphis in the house. Sergio, what's going on, baby? 305 in the house. Dan, what's up? Toronto in the house. Mike, what's up, baby? Kelly, New York in the house. Brian, what's up, baby? Talking that Baltimore DMV area right in your backyard. Scott, what's good? Braden, what's up? Mel, Memphis in the house. All right. Let me get back to these questions coming in. Oh man, they're coming in. Oh, we got Bryce again says, what are the top things the college coach looks for at a showcase game?
Yeah.
So,
I think today, and hear me out a little bit, the spectrum is always kind of changing, and you're getting back into pro baseball, and things have completely changed since we were growing up with all the data analytics and all that. And I would say, to be honest with you, man, it's just, I'm an artist, and I try to say it like that. There's no three things that I can give you. I can't tell you why I like this kid other than that. But that's my favorite part, is I may see things differently than you. So, we're definitely looking at actions. You're looking at athletic ability. You're looking at how he moves, all these different things. But, I think too many times these days kids are focused on, hey, let me get a bat sensor and hit it off the tee and see what the bat speed says. And it just, I'm not looking necessarily at that. You can kind of tell if a guy has some feel at the plate, but, I'm not going to penalize him if he's a leadoff guy and he's fast and his bat to ball skills are good, but his exit velocity and bat speed are lower. I mean, that's not how I roll. So, I would tell kids today, be more process oriented than data oriented, meaning, don't get caught up on all the data just because you think you should be here or you should be here. Just go out and play the game. And I would tell you, these days more than ever, the kids just don't know the game. We spend the first 4 months in the fall reteaching leads and certain things that just are so elementary and so basic. And, because there's a lot of showcase baseball, which can be good, but it's also, I feel like when you're playing Legion or Babe Ruth, you knew all that. You were playing with guys you grew up with, and there was that sense where you knew things. And that's definitely getting lost. There's some coaches that are doing a great job teaching it, but there's many that aren't. So watching baseball, understanding the game, breaking it down, all that stuff's just as important as actually going out and working on your craft. So I don't have just one specific answer for you or tool. It changes per the kid, per the year, per the time. But more importantly, just know the game. Not only just work on your craft, but know it inside and out. And coaches will always have a place for you if you could do that.
I love it. All right. Chipper Nashville says, why are there so many bounce back JUCOs this year?
Well, just there's going to be a lot of bounce back guys everywhere. And what I mean by that is, for example, we were talking about earlier that 20 class. So, let's just say that I have a junior catcher that, was going to get drafted. And now the draft is only 5 rounds. He may have been a 9th rounder, and he's now no longer going to sign. So he's coming back. So the JUCO guy they got to replace him doesn't have a spot. So it's nobody's fault. It's just the way it is right now. And that's why the transfer portal, there's a lot of people in it. It's just a tough time in life. It's not just baseball. It's happening to every sport. It's happening everywhere. It's just a tough time in life. So that it's not just us. It's a major league level. It's all different types of stuff that are getting thrown out there. So it's just a tough time. But that's the reason why, is because, guys were trying to fill spots with JUCO guys, and now they're able to come back.
I'm just asking personally. I mean, I know it's this year, but I've been told it may happen next year too. I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, you're a pro guy too, so 5 rounds. I mean, you and I both know really talented players that got drafted well after the 5th round. I mean, what do you suggest for those guys? What do you think they're done independently? What are you thinking?
Well, I think right now Major League Baseball is trying to make a shift, right? They're cutting out a lot of the minor league teams. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to eliminate players. I don't know if that's because they think they have it figured out through data. Like, hey, we now can project who's going to be good, which is false. That's not going to project who's going to be good. You're always going to have diamonds in the rough. You're going to have the Mike Piazzas. You're going to have that. That's just the way baseball is. So I don't care if it's 5 or 10 rounds. But that's more of a business decision for Major League Baseball, but it's definitely going to have a trickle down effect. Some good, some bad. Some good meaning, we lost a high school kid, that got drafted late, in the late 30th round, and he probably should have came to school, regardless if he makes it to the major leagues. It doesn't matter. Even if he makes it, I still think it would have been better off coming to school. So you're going to have some stories where I think, it keeps guys in school for the right reasons and it helps them develop. And then you're probably just going to have some bad ones just for guys getting missed, just for the sheer volume of players. But again, we're at the whim of Major League Baseball, and that decision kind of trickles down to us because they're the mothership. It doesn't matter what I do to recruit, doesn't matter what I say. There's no when you talk about Major League Baseball and a scout comes in or whatever, it's the Kool-Aid. It doesn't matter what you say; it's hard to overcome. You know what I mean? So, that's why we have to kind of work with them. We work with the agents and all that, and it just kind of comes with the territory.
Parents, I'll get right back to those questions. I'm just being nosy myself. So, do you see? I would guess, especially like those borderline 6th, 7th rounders and high schoolers or junior colleges. So that must benefit, you guys, right? The college, so should the rosters, should be more talented and the kids going to be staying more longer too, right?
What they said is after the 5th round, they're only going to offer them $20,000. So okay. That's the cap. So after the 5th round, so guys can still sign, but that's it. But yes, it will keep those guys in there. There's too many times that I can tell you that we had an 18th rounder sign as a junior and he's out of pro baseball in 2 years when he could have come back, got his degree, compete for a national championship, and then get an opportunity.
High school is doing that. I know plenty of high schools that no business.
So all in all, I think it's a good thing that kids are in school. And honestly, if they're with the right agents and it's life-changing money, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Listen, we lost a first rounder a couple of years ago. He got $1.5 million. You pat him on the back and say, listen, I get it. This is life-changing money. This is life-altering. You get it. But when it's that 6th rounder and it's $330,000 and it's cut in half by taxes and then they buy a car and all that, it's like, hey, your college degree is worth more than that. So, those are the conversations that we try to have. We do draft education. We try to get out in front of. We talk to agents where we're trying to get them with the right people, not guys that are going to try to snake them. So all that's part of the process, man. And that's kind of what we sign up for, but we're in it to try to help the kid for sure.
I love it, man. Good information. You just talk. That's why I wanted to talk. You taught me something. I ain't hear about the 20,000 thing. So that's awesome. All right. So Bill says, do you recruit mainly to, I know you just talked about this, but I have to, the parents asking the questions. Do you recruit mainly to analytics, such as a kid that must throw 85 miles per hour, bat exit below 90 miles per hour, or do you look at the energy of the kid, think of all these PBR numbers are bad, kids are training to the gun rather than learning how to play the game the right way? I know you spoke about it, but, as a question asked.
Yeah, no, I can delve more into that. So it's a mixture of both, right? So, obviously I'd say if it's a pitcher, we all know that velocity is an important part of being recruited. So it's a little bit different than the hitting metrics part. So, the gun has always been the king. It's never going to change with that. That's just realistic. You're not going to play Division I baseball if you throw 80 miles an hour, maybe low D1, but we're facing 89, 92 is the norm every weekend, maybe a tick lower than major league guys, but velocity is always going to be king in baseball pitching. So that's a barometer. Doesn't mean a guy can't take a jump, but that's going to be king. When it comes to hitting, I don't care about the exit velocity and launch angle. I was 165 pounds as a senior in high school, and I ended up, being 30 pounds heavier than that in 3 years. So I think you have to I look more at their movement profile, how they move, what their balance, all that different stuff. That's more important to me than metrics. I can go on and on specifically about hitting. Exit velocity and launch angle is garbage. It's a result. It's not a swing. It's a result of a batted ball. So if you want to talk about, something a hitter should pay attention to in high school, he needs to pay attention to his attack angle. So what I mean by that is his attack angle, the pitch is coming in at -6 degrees for a fastball. A breaking ball is coming in at -10. So if you have a blast or Diamond Kinetics blast or a sensor, you need to match your attack angle at a 5 to 10 degrees positive. So we know that's just physics, right? The ball's coming in, you have to match that plane. Some of our power hitters will be 10 to 15. So if you're a second baseman who's a fast guy and your attack angle is 20, you're 2 uphill. It doesn't match with your profile. You need to fix it. And those are things that you can focus on the basics right now. Getting into all the connection and all this bat speed and all that, like, no, like just stick with who you are, what you can control, and move from there. Sometimes with data, man, we measure stuff because it can be measured. It doesn't mean it can be applied. So we measure data because it can. So do I need to know about all that? Yes, but I may need to process that, not the players.
Hey, preaching right now, brother. All right. LeBron says, do any of your guys play in the summer collegiate baseball leagues in the Southeast?
Yeah, so we'll play some all over the country. Sometimes, to be just completely blunt with you, the kid could be from Maryland. He's lived here his whole life. He plays here. Man, we'll send him to Alaska, and he may be reluctant to say, man, I don't want to go to Alaska. And then all of a sudden he comes back and said, Coach, that was the best experience I've ever had in my life. So we move them all over the place. Guys in the Cape, NECBL, Myrtle Beach, Texas, California, Alaska, we all over the place. So I think it's very specific to the kid. What does he need? Is he going to play? Is it a good league? All those different types of things. So we try to take an individualistic approach to what's best for that kid, like I said. And, I think in the past, everybody used to just say, hey, man, if you're in the Cape, you're the it. But I'm not going to send a freshman to the Cape if he's going to get 20 at-bats. So, yeah, it may look good that you have a guy in the Cape, but it's not going to do him any good to only get 20 at-bats in the summer. So I think that's also circumstantial as well.
Good stuff. All right. Braden says, what's the typical daily schedule for athletes between lifting classes and games?
Yeah, so it's a 2-part question. I'll just go through the fall first. I'll do the fall and the spring. So the fall is super heavy in the weight room. We'll be hammering the guys in there 4 days a week. We do it in the morning between 6 and 7:30. We do it in the morning because I want them to have the entire day to recover. So when they're at class, they can hydrate, they can eat, they can do those things. I think it's important that they have those hours to recover. In the afternoon, they'll come out. We do early hitting with me. They'll come in and early hit with me before team practice. We'll hammer that out and work on some stuff. And then when team practice kind of starts, everybody's together. So, there's study hall, there's stuff like that. There's classes, there's stuff like that. But in the fall, we're a lot more, we're lifting heavy weights, trying to really build up everything. But we're also getting our skill set of our baseball in. When you go home for Christmas, now we're trying to get into the mode of where we're trying to maintain. So we're maintaining all those gains we got, and we're working on injury prevention. We're working all stuff so we can be good and strong throughout the season. Baseball is a grinded out sport. D knows that better than anybody. Being a major leaguer, it is an absolute grind, and it's just as much as a mental part as it is physical. So we're trying to train both the mental and physical. And during the spring, man, we're coming back about 3 weeks before our first game, and then we're getting at it. We're playing 56 games, and I would say it's equivalent to a major league season when you add in the school. So you got weightlifting, you got class, you got the mental stress. It's essentially it's a grind as well, but it's a good precursor to those guys that say, hey, if your dream is to play Major League Baseball, this is what it takes. I know it's hard, but it takes what it takes. It's hard. So the fall and spring are kind of different, but hopefully I answered that for him.
All right, man. Good stuff. My boy Brian says, ask Coach Swope his favorite memory of playing for Coach Moshimer.
Dave McNamara. Okay, yeah. So I think if he's talking about him, my favorite moment. So he was my manager at the Clinton Lumber Kings, man, low A Midwest League, man. Sadly, probably more I remember is getting chewed out. You know what I mean? Probably coming in and throwing the ball to the wrong base, and the typical pro manager, throwing his hands up, like, what are you going here? And that was just kind of like your teaching point. So I don't know if I have any specifics, but he was a great manager. He was a long time in the Orioles system. I have a lot of love for guys that just do that stuff for 20 and 30 years and don't ever make it to the majors, but they're just baseball lifers, man. It reminds me of all the old, Bull Durham's, and it reminds you of all those old baseball movies where today you don't really get a sense of that anymore like you did then, you know. But I don't even know where he's at. I wish I did. I'd contact him and just say what's up. But that's funny though. Yeah, he was my single A manager in the Midwest League. So.
Nice. Yeah, Brian goes back. He's been around for a long time. Then he's back in my A-ball days and at the MV area. But all right, so this is something we were talking about behind the scenes, Coach. Sergio, who has a two-sport, stud down in the Atlanta area. He says, D, can you ask Coach if he doesn't mind, he don't mind to recruit a kid that's really good in football also, let him play both sports at Maryland?
Yeah, man. Again, I'm just going to reference the DMV. I went to DeMatha Catholic High School, played football, basketball, and baseball. I love 2-3 sport guys. I encourage them to do that. Parents, it's the first question they always ask me. Should he continue playing basketball or football? I say yes. There's absolutely nothing that you can replace for the motor skills, the motor learning, the competition. I clearly wasn't even, going to be the best player of basketball at DeMatha, but going against the best every day allowed me to rise up in some other form and made me a better baseball player. So I encourage it. People say, well, what if they get hurt? And I say, so what? I can get hurt walking across the street. You can get hurt playing baseball. So, we're not going to cut someone's scholarship offer just because he gets hurt. The chances are he's probably going to heal up by then and still come to school. So I'm all for it. I'm big on it, actually. I probably seek out guys that are 2-sport guys. So I think, again, we talked about this before we came on. Too many times, in my opinion, guys are getting lessons at 9, 10 years old and being robots and aren't put in different competitive environments. So I'm huge on the 2 and 3 sport guys. I think parents should encourage that.
How often does, because we could talk about it all day from personal experience, like we talk behind the scenes, but there are a lot of schools out here that will promise you that you can play 2 sports until you get to that school.
Yep.
And things change. So how often do you allow at Maryland guys to play 2 sports?
Yeah, well, we've tried it just the past year. We've tried to recruit 5 of them. So what I do is I talk to the football coaches, the position coach that would be recruiting them. I know Mike Loxley personally. So when he came on, it's the first question I asked him, like, hey, will you allow 2-sport guys? Some coaches in football let it happen. Some don't. He was willing to do it. Even their wide receiver, Deshaun Jones, who had a great freshman year at Maryland, tore his ACL. So he couldn't try out for baseball, but he was going to try out for baseball this year too. So we're all for it. So I just think you just have to, I don't know per se you can get it in writing, but make sure it's a real thing. Like for us, when I played at Maryland, we had 2 football guys that played baseball. So I think you just need to be upfront and ask the baseball coach and the football coach if it's a possibility. And, if the kid ends up not wanting to do one or the other, that's life. That's just kind of like, it's no different than a 2-way guy coming in that pitches and hits. Sometimes he wants to go the hit and route instead of pitching, and it kind of happens. But I just think, if someone's going to be shady and tell you that, it's a possibility, and then pull the rug out from you, you shouldn't be there anyway.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Sergio. We talked about it, and that's one of the main reasons why I chose Maryland, because I know that they were going to allow me to play 2 sports, and the starting quarterback the year before I was going to come was a 2-sport guy himself.
Brian Cummings.
Brian Cummings, yes, you know him, right? Yeah. But all right, the great question. Let me see. Thank you for them. We are local. Mark says, Brian says, yep, you were supposed to be a Terp on the gridiron. Yep, you're right, Brian. Terp supporter. I hang out at Shipley Field a lot. All right. Mark says my best to you, Coach. Thank you for the info. We are local and we'll come by to see a few games and get our player looking at UMD. All right. He's the one in Germantown. Curtis in Texas asks, are baseball coaching staffs attempting to be more diverse?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I think it's, again, this just comes to like the activity, right? Like there's been over the past 10 years, just a slash of just lack of diversity in just everything, playing, coaching. So, I think anytime we can move forward in that sense, it's great. We have an African-American athletic director that was just hired, our previous one as well. So I think it's kind of starts at the top, and being at a school like Maryland, it's what you promote, right? It's one thing to say certain things. It's another thing what you do. So when, even from the recruiting standpoint, when I'm talking to our recruits, I talked to 2 or 3 African-American kids this week. I said, listen, man, not only do you have an opportunity to go to a great school, but I said, wouldn't you want to encourage local kids where you're from to play the game and be kind of an ambassador? And it's not to put added stress on them. It's just that, I think there should be more, diversity in baseball. I think there should be, more Latin, more Black kids that play. Again, I can just go on and on about Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden and all these guys that like shaped my childhood, and it's good for the game. There's nothing bad to it. And I think what you see in those Latin countries is that's all they do is play baseball. There's no reason why we can't get more Black kids playing, more urban areas to play and get those athletes playing baseball, because, now it's kind of being pushed more to, a little bit more basketball and football because of the popularity. But man, it was just such a, shaped my childhood with the diversity and the ability for guys to mix it up like D and like some of the guys I've talked about. So yeah, we're all about it, man. We're all about it, and hopefully we'll just continue along that way.
Yeah, it's a great question, man. Let me give a little shout out. We got more people coming on. We got some shout outs over here for you too. We have what's up, Steve Ferreira? How are you? Mike Colangelo says, tell him to call me back. What's up, Mike? Good to see you on, brother. Shell, what up? Memphis in the house. Kathy, what's up? Memphis in the house. Ty, what up? John Lowe, what up, baby? New York in the house. Lou, what's going on? Cali in the house. Andrew, what's up, baby? I texted you earlier. Hit me up. The Damon, what's good? Sadiq, ATL in the house. Eusebio, baby. Orlando in the house. Sheila, what up? Mississippi in the house. All right, let me see questions coming in, Coach. We were overtime today. You all right?
Oh, I'm good, man. I can do this all day.
Chipper says, do you keep your eyes on late groomers, late growers?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. That's why there's so much parity in baseball. That's why it's great. I think for us, there's always an opportunity with the high school draft. So yeah, there's late bloomers. Like you're never stop recruiting. Just because we have a specific class that's committed doesn't mean you don't know the landscape. I still know the players that have popped off a little bit, as they've gotten older. You always have like a contingency plan possibly. So that's why I said, man, just each individual guy, if you're not there yet because you're 14 and 15, don't panic. Just keep working and things will work out the way they should.
I love it. Do most D1 teams play in the fall?
Do they play what in the fall? Yeah. Do
most D1 teams play in the fall?
Yeah. So we're restricted. NCAA is super time sensitive. So we have 5 weeks in the fall to have 20 hours a week. Outside those 5 specific weeks for fall ball, we go back to 8 hours a week. So we have to be super diligent with and efficient with our time. And that includes strength and conditioning, speed, agility, hitting, and all that. So, we'll end up breaking up in individual groups around that time. But yeah, it's all based off the NCAA and hours, but you do have a 5-week fall period. And now what last year or 2 years ago was the first year we're allowed to play 2 games. So we played on Army and St. John's this year, where you're allowed just like one regular game day to kind of get your feet wet and see the competition a little bit. And it doesn't count against your spring schedule.
Awesome. Good question. My boy Dan and TO says, does Coach Swope have any experience with Canadian players?
Yeah, actually, so 2 years ago, Taylor Wright was a all Big Ten third baseman. He's from Vancouver, which is probably as far as you can get from Washington, D.C. in Canada. It's on the other side of the country, so literally. So yeah, we had a third baseman. He's a Canadian kid. He was a JUCO kid, but he's a Canadian kid, and just funny because I've talked to multiple guys from Canada since then. Just got off the phone with one last Friday. So he's a 22 outfielder and infielder. He's a multi-sport guy. And so, yeah, like I said, we're always searching for good players anywhere. And if they fit the profile of competitiveness and wanting to be at Maryland and think it's a possibility, then anything's possible. But I think Canada's untapped. I think there's some stuff that, if they could get in the States more, or there was a way for us to see it more, I have no problem with recruiting guys there.
Some really good. I mean, I just know you and I both know coming up with some every dude from Canada could play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know that I met. You know, coming up, and I do feel like it's untapped. Um, Trevor says, how do you feel about high school coaches making pictures PO only?
Don't like it. Again, I just, I'll go back to like, why would we try to pigeonhole kids into being something before they're even grown? So just no, I don't like it. Like if the kid can't hit, if he can't play another position, because he's not good enough, that's one thing. But if he can help your team in any way to do both, there's no reason why anybody should be just pigeonholed and told a certain role that like this is what you are. You're just doing that kid a disservice. So for me personally, I would allow him to do both as long as he's helping the team, to be honest.
All right. Kathy asks, what are other players doing? Social distancing, no playing, or gatherings. How are they staying current with the throwing program, the batting,
Yeah,
etc.
Yeah, like I said earlier, we kind of touched on this. It's just something that like you got to do what you can do. So if you're in New York, where upstate New York, and there's not as many restrictions, and you can get out to a field and long toss, you can long toss. Some of our guys do that. Some of our guys are still local here, and they can't go outside. So it depends what area you're at. And like I said, you just got to make the best of it. Whether that's going on Amazon and buying a wiffle ball bat and getting a tee in a net and doing that, or lifting in the basement, or being able to go out in front of your street and run sprints, with a shoot on, or I don't know, something. But this is more the time as a parent, as a kid, as a coach, that you got to be creative and still try to make ways to even if you can't improve, to maintain, so you're not losing that skill set that you guys work so hard for. So I think it's just a trying time, but I would lean on your high school coach, lean on your summer coach, ask them, say, hey, do you have any ideas or some gadgets that I could use that could be used in a confined space, or stuff like that? You know what I mean? Or, hey, maybe you got to use this type of bat so the ball doesn't go as far, but you can still get your swings in. So I think you just got to be creative, but, lean on your coaches for some advice, and hopefully they can steer you in the right direction.
All right. We have Bill in Jersey says, why do so many kids leave Maryland to go elsewhere? And that's for all sports. With the numbers and population and no other D1 schools for miles, seems like Maryland should win everything all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can personally talk about it. If we did keep our best players in state, or in the DMV, we would never lose anything. But I think that's like a blanket statement. Why do kids leave? I can tell you that when coaches, have turnover, you're going to have guys leave. So, football went through a really bad experience a couple years ago. That was unfortunate. And, when you have 3 different head coaches in a matter of 5 years, you're going to have some turnover. For us personally, we take pride we take pride in not turnover. Like even in baseball, like if a kid comes in and says, hey, coach, this isn't the right fit for me, I don't think I'm playing right now, we just pat him on the back and try to help him. That's just kind of the way of the world. We're no different than anybody else. I would argue our numbers are definitely less for baseball specific as far as turnover goes. But I just answered like the overall question. Maybe that's why in football, but I think more importantly in recruiting, we're trying to keep the best players here. So like I said earlier, the Gonzagas, the DeMathas, all these guys, instead of them going to LSU, we need to get them here. So, that's my focus. And I think if we can do a better job of that, which Locks is doing, and Mark's done a good job with the local guys, we'll just continue to get better and hopefully raise that profile. Like when I was here, we won a national championship in basketball, and won the ACC in football. So, I have dreams of trying to get everybody back there at the same time, because it just makes the college experience even better.
I love it, man. We have Bryce says, young high school athlete themselves, as a college coach, do you check emails over this break, such as a player sending video recruiting information about themselves?
Yeah, it's always tough, man. People ask me all the time, like, hey, coach, I emailed you. I get 250 emails a day. So with family and all the stuff that's going on, I try to do my best. But what I would recommend to guys is have a contact. Like if you like lean on your coach, high school coach, your summer coach, have a contact that can just steer you in the right direction. Maybe they know somebody, maybe they already have a relationship. For those that don't, yeah, you got to email, you got to do the best you can to get it out there. What I would recommend for kids sending emails, don't send me a resume, don't send me 5 paragraphs. Literally send, a quick 2 or 3 sentences about yourself, what year you are, and put a link to a video. Because if a coach can't see you, he's not going to read your resume and see that you hit 662 last year, and just think that you're good. And it doesn't, even for the players that I have seen that I know that are really good, I don't just take their video for what it is. I mean, there's a lot more goes into it. So, but the video piece does help everyone. It would help D, diagnose the kid or have thoughts about him. It helps me. It helps a high school coach. It helps anybody. So it's not the fact that I won't recruit you if you don't have video. It just helps the process, and for kids to understand, if I'm getting 200 emails a day about recruiting and other things, it's impossible for me to go through all of that, and still have time in the day. So I would just be to the point, have a reference for somebody that you do know or that you play for or something like that, and then have just a video about yourself. That helps.
Basically, you need a hookup, Derek. You need somebody that got to end the coach. That's basically how that goes, man. So, and that the coach will trust that coach's word, on a
Yep.
player. So, especially at the Power Five school. Stephen, Stephen asks, should 12-year-olds take time off from throwing this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I've been vilified for this on the internet. Okay, and I have my hitting Twitter account and Instagram. It's Maryland Made Hitting for those guys out there. If you guys want to check it out, we try to be transparent.
Tell me at the end, and
Yeah.
I'll post it on the comment
Okay.
section.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to post content where we're just like showing you what we're doing with players and stuff like that. I really started it more for recruiting than anything else, because hitting is very hard to talk about on the phone. So I really started it more for hitting. And I posted one day, an 11-year-old coach or dad asked me, what can I do to improve my kid's launch angle swing? And I blacked his name out and I just shared the email online, and I said, this is not a time to be working on your launch angle swing. This is a time to be externally based cues to play the game right, play the game hard. And I got crushed on the internet. I couldn't believe it. I got messages from, hey, my kid's 11 and he watches film and he knows his pattern, and it was unbelievable. So, it shocked me, but I think kids should take some time off. Yes, I do. I don't think kids should be playing in the spring, summer, fall. I just don't, and have the only downtime in December. There's no reason for that. Expose them to different things. So, again, I think we've gotten too robotic in the fact that we're taking lessons young, and we're all in this cage environment, or we're playing showcase ball in the summer and not exposed to enough. So, a long story short, yes, I would take some time off.
All right. Sadiq has a comment, says, D, I understand what he's saying about multi-sport athletes, but across the board, that's not the norm. He said, yeah, they love the athlete, but frown on the player's lack of baseball IQ from lack of playing,
I would just beg to differ, just because me and D did that. I'm sorry. Like, I think if you want to learn the game and you're exposed to good coaches and good people around you, playing an extra 4 months when you could play another sport isn't going to make you a smarter baseball player. There's still find ways to. I mean, I was playing football in the fall when the fall classic was on. Like, I wasn't in baseball season anymore, and baseball was in the World Series. So, it doesn't mean I wasn't watching the game. So, I take offense to that a little bit, just because I was a 2-sport, 3-sport guy. And I still prided myself in knowing the game. So I think there's ways that you can go about knowing the game of baseball without playing it. You don't have to play. There's plenty of kids, again, that play all year round, and I have to spend 4 months teaching 18-year-olds how to take leads and how to lean in on when they're running bases and picking signs and like I have to teach that now. And these are guys that are playing all year round. So, I would think that's more of a crutch than you automatically assuming you learn the game by just playing it. There's plenty of ways to learn about the game.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Do you do you the Flat Ground online platform to recruit? Do you use the Flat Ground online platform to recruit?
I don't know what they're specifically talking about. Maybe Flat Ground app. I'm not sure. Like, listen, man. As coaches, we utilize everything. You know, we're there's no stone left unturned per se. You know, we're talking to coaches. We're online. We're at showcases. We're at high school games. We're everywhere. So there isn't anything that we don't use. I can't give you something specifically that I use more than others. I think obviously the popular ones like Perfect Game and PBR have an advantage because just of the sheer number that's on there. I think Division One, D1Baseball.com has done a good job trying to further the game by partnering with some of these guys and, you know, move that along so we can streamline good content, because so many times, you know, let's just be honest, man, it's no different in football or basketball. You're trying to rate a 14-year-old. Is this kind of crazy? But I get it at the same time, you know what I mean? And it gives players something to strive for. So I think the more we can get to a place where they have consistent contact that gives you, you know, things that are going to help you along this journey and process of playing at a higher level, it's good. I mean, there's not all that stuff's bad. So I just think there's so much being thrown around. It's hard for parents to sometimes decipher what's worth it and what's not.
All right. That is a good statement. Bill says a lot of kids that play year round can't play other sports. Oklahoma drill makes a lot of baseball players. You're right. You know, can't handle
Correct.
that. Oklahoma drill. I like that. All right. Okay. We got a lot of statements. Agree 100%. Student athletes should play other sports. My boy, Coach Terrence Steele, D1 coach in Mississippi Valley State, came on board. That is it. Man, Coach, man, I appreciate you spending your Monday afternoon with us, man, and answering all the questions. I would love to, at this time, I usually let the coaches talk about their camps, their showcases, what they got going on. But I mean, if you have, you know, some dates in hand, I know everything is in limbo, but tell me about your camps and showcases, and then give me your following, your Twitter handles and everything like that, and I'll post it in the comments. But start with the camp showcases and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, they just canceled all ours for the summer, so I got nothing for it. Yeah, they canceled it for the summer, and so, you know, we're going to go a different way. We got some ideas that we're going to roll out. So, you know, obviously, you know, I've been on a million Zoom calls, and this is kind of the way of the world right now. So it may be something different, more of an online presence, but, you know, we're not just going to give up. You know, I'm in this to help people. That's why I love to come on with people like yourself that came before me, that I have a lot of respect for, that watched you play on TV. So I'm in it. I'm in it to help people. So if guys just want to check out my stuff, it's Maryland Made Hitting on Twitter and Instagram. If you just type in Maryland Made Hitting, it'll pop up. Some of the characters are different on different platforms, but it'll pop up at some point, or I'll text D, you know, after we're done, and hopefully he can play.
Maryland Made Hitting, right?
Yep. Maryland Made Hitting. And, you know, I try to just post content on there to help people, and that's why I'm in it. So would love for the follow and appreciate it. And we don't really have anything else right now, man. But, you know, that's pretty much all I can do right now is I try to post content and get Maryland's name out there as best we can, and kind of show guys and giving them an inside look about how we handle our business.
Good stuff, man. I mean, I know you just kind of closed it out. I posted in the comments, parents, the at Maryland Made Hitting. It is his Twitter following handle. Will Maryland? Last question is from Bryce. Says, will Maryland be at the New York State games?
Yep, every year. We're there every year. It's one of our big things, and we have a huge presence in New York. Like I said, we have the top two pitchers in 20 coming out of there, Jason Savicol and Alex Santos. So New York State games is 100% a staple for us every year. New York's a super important state for us. A lot of great ties to there, and yeah, we're there every year. So stop by. You see me in Terps gear, or Corey, one of our other coaches, and introduce yourself, say what's up, and I would appreciate that.
I hope you hear that, Bryce. All right, man. So, um, let me finish by again. I appreciate you, brother, coming on. Great information. I know. I appreciate your time. If you could, man, just have all my guests come on and just kind of put it in a bow. Any type of advice, any type of to wrap this interview up that you can give to the parents listening in.
Yeah, man.
Or,
For me, I've been through a lot of adversity in my life. Dealt with some bad things, and my two biggest things I always try to tell parents and coaches and players and all that is to be authentic. I think being authentic is huge, and being present. And too many times we're worried about what could have happened, what will happen, and we just lose sight of the present, man. And just being mindful and being present will go a long way to eliminate stress, especially in a time like this right now. And if you're a player, if you're a coach, whatever, you got to be authentic. If you don't truly believe in what you're doing, it's just going to be fake. So as a player, like D's from New York, I'm from the DMV. That I wear that proudly. It shaped who I was. You don't have to be somebody that you think a coach wants you to be, and a coach doesn't have to follow the latest fad or data or whatever. So it goes both ways. So to me, it's just being authentic to who you are and understand what shapes you, but also trying to stay present right now and mindful for who you are, and that's about it. Those are my two favorite things to talk about. So
good stuff, brother. Good stuff, man. Coach, I know we'll be in contact, man. I thank you for coming on and setting off the week correctly and right during these times, man. And parents listening in tomorrow, I will have Georgia Gwinnett NAIA school assistant coach Alan Cox out in the Atlanta area coming on. I'm going to come from a D1. I'm going to go D1, NAIA, D3, back up to D1, and then finish in the IMG Academy on Friday. So we all over the place, but it works. We're just giving that information. My boy, Coach, Swope set the tone from that D1 Power 5. Them Turks, that's dear to my heart, man. So great information. You guys keep rolling, man. Let me ask you this last question. They still got that short porch in right field over there, the field over there? They still, they moved
we moved it all back, man. We still hit a bunch of homers, man. We were leading the Big Ten this year. We still hit homers, but we moved the field back. It's a little bit nicer when you were there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna a little short porch out there, a little miniature Yankee stadium out there. But yeah. All right, Coach. I appreciate you, brother. Okay. Parents, great listening in. Thank you for your time, Coach Swope, and I'll be in contact with you in the behind the scenes. I get parents and people asking about coaches and recruiting and everything like that. So I appreciate you taking out the time, brother.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, parents. Love you guys for listening in. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. we'll be on. Again, you guys take care.